Welcome back to Lost Path, where every trail tells a tale. Today we have a truly chilling story about one unfortunate expedition. Our protagonist is 43-year-old Emma Kelty, who in January 2017 decided to solo kayak down the Amazon. Emma is by no means a novice adventurer. Her list of travels is quite impressive. She's hiked the Pacific Trail in America on her own and even made a solo ski trip to the South Pole, becoming the sixth woman in the world to accomplish this feat. Lengthy, solo, and challenging treks were nothing new to her. However, in 2017, she planned what she called the journey of her dreams, a long solo voyage down the world's longest river, the Amazon. This was set to be her most complicated and lengthy adventure yet, as she planned to kayak 6,500 kilometers through the Amazon entirely alone. And needless to say, this is a very difficult and dangerous route. The primitive jungle, wild animals, challenging climate, diseases, and in this area, laws are practically non-existent due to the remoteness and inaccessibility, with locals not very inclined to enforce them, leading to frequent robberies, raids, and other crimes. Hidden within these jungles are drug labs, guerrillas, and criminal gangs dodging the law. And of course, Emma was well aware of these dangers, though in my view, she might have underestimated their extent. As soon as she announced her plans, many tried to dissuade her, to which she responded in a tweet, "When it comes to minimizing risk, I'm taking self-defense courses focused on disarming people, so if I encounter such a situation, I'll at least be prepared." And indeed, she completed a self-defense course in England. However, I can hardly imagine how these courses could help a single woman disarm a group of armed men. Emma thoroughly prepared for this journey, even traveling to Slovenia and Belarus for training and kayaking. Then, on June 15th, 2017, Emma Kelty landed in Lima, Peru. She was supposed to start the first part of her route in a group, even with a guide. This was a 45-day trek along the Rio Marañón River, which passed without any major incidents. But on July 29th, Emma arrived in the small town of Sara Maritza, where she bid farewell to her team and continued on her journey alone, facing ahead 6,500 kilometers of wild and very dangerous jungles. And this expedition was very well prepared. Emma had all the necessary equipment, plenty of travel experience, and even satellite communication. She regularly called her family and was actively updating her social media throughout the journey. I often see comments under her posts suggesting that life gives warnings before danger, and this case was no exception. For example, one day Emma left this post, "So here in Kauai, or around it, they will steal my boat, and I will be killed." She was clearly referring to warnings from locals who tried to dissuade her from traveling through dangerous areas. As I've mentioned before, not only the wild jungle, animals, or harsh climate are dangers there. The main threat comes from people, and the river offers no refuge. Many locals from remote villages, which are out of police reach, engage in outright piracy, robbing all boats passing through the Amazon or extorting them. Drug cartels also transport their shipments by water and do not welcome prying eyes. Even the local population living in poverty wouldn't hesitate to take advantage of a lone tourist. On August 21st, 2017, Emma wrote this tweet, "Paddled upstream to reach a small beach on the opposite side of the river to rest. As I got closer, I saw a person swinging a machete and vultures feasting on something, or someone he had killed. I started paddling hard to get away from there. I could hear his shouts." Emma Kelty continued her journey, but she grew increasingly tired. Not only was the route itself very demanding, but she also faced storms that nearly destroyed her tent several times. She made her way through wild jungles and paddled down a very turbulent river, and recently she had been encountering shady individuals, forcing her to spend a long time finding a safe place to camp each night. Here's what she wrote on August 23rd, 2017, "Hoping those 4 guys don't come back to me tonight." And another tweet from August 25th, "2 guys in a boat docked next to me for 2 hours. Yes, I tried to make contact, but they remained silent." On September 8th, as Emma was setting up her tent, a woman with a child in her arms emerged from the jungle, aggressively waving a machete. Kelty waved back in greeting, which frightened the stranger, and she ran back into the jungle. Locals especially warned her against traveling through a place called Kwari, insisting that she wouldn't return alive from there. On September 13th, the 42nd day of her solo expedition, Emma did not check in, and only late in the evening on that day, her satellite navigator sent an SOS. No further information about the traveler was available after that. The connection was lost, and I think Emma would have remained unlocated. Countries like Colombia, Bolivia, and Brazil do not prioritize the search for missing tourists. They might perform searches for foreigners, but these usually don't yield results. The jungle is dense, the river is deep, and it's likely her boat capsized. There was nothing that could be done. However, this case was a bit different. Firstly, Emma was somewhat of a public figure. Secondly, she sent her coordinates to her family every day. Thirdly, there was an SOS signal that sent an exact location via satellite, so there was no real need to search. The rescuers knew exactly where to go. By the way, satellite navigators with SOS functions or satellite communicators that can also send signals through satellites are very useful equipment. I highly recommend having such gear for anyone going on long, remote trips. Emma Kelty set up her tent on the Bairro Island in the Solimões River area, which is the upper reaches of the Amazon and is part of Brazilian territory. This area is known for its smugglers, river pirates, and local bands that rob everyone they encounter. Brazilian police arrived at the location from where the signal was sent. They found Emma's camp, some of her belongings, and even her kayak. However, the woman herself was nowhere to be seen. Soon after, 5 local youths were arrested, most of them around 17 years old. They stated that at least 3 others were involved. This entire group was part of the river pirates. These individuals were involved in violent acts, robberies, and transporting illicit substances. The leaders of this gang were Evanelson Gomes da Costa and 28-year-old Arthur Gomes da Silva. Interestingly, neither of the leaders was immediately arrested. They managed to escape. According to the investigation, leaders Evanelson and Arthur approached Kelty's tent, and Evanelson discharged a 20-gauge sawed-off shotgun twice, apparently only wounding her. After that, they robbed the woman. Locals reported seeing Emma still alive and conscious when the gang put her in their boat. Deciding to dispose of the evidence, they took Emma to the middle of the river and threw her overboard. Since the river had many crocodiles and piranhas, no trace of her was left. And most of the gang members claimed that Emma was still alive when they threw her overboard to be devoured by piranhas. The pirates' loot included 2 of her mobile phones, a drone, a GoPro camera, and a laptop, which they sold at a local market for just 300 reais, approximately $100. The police also questioned residents of nearby villages. Many said they had advised the traveler not to venture into pirate territory. For example, 16-year-old Milan Vicente shared, "We looked her in the eyes and begged her not to try to cross that section of the river. I told her it was very dangerous, that it was full of traffickers in illicit substances and pirates. We told her they would kill her." According to the teenager, Kelty replied, "I can't stay. The longer I stay here, the more time I lose. To succeed, I must complete this entire journey. Your hearts are very kind, but I need to continue." During interrogation, one of the criminals said they thought the tent belonged to Colombians who had set up camp in their lands. They planned to kill the Colombians and take their money and illicit substances. However, they unexpectedly found a lone woman in the tent. According to him, Emma Kelty was in her tent, oblivious to the impending danger. When she was shot twice with a sawed-off shotgun from about 50 meters away, one of the Brazilian police representatives stated that catching the pirates was akin to waging a war against guerrillas. They are elusive enemies who make full use of their knowledge of river currents, geography, and topography. Yet such journeys still occur, and adventure seekers continue to navigate the Amazon, such as the route taken by traveler West Hansen in 2012. Killings are a daily occurrence there because it's very easy to dispose of bodies, and disappearances are attributed to natural causes. Thus, people are often recorded as missing. Almost everyone who has navigated this part of the river has been attacked or held at gunpoint. many even more than once. However, this time, it was not possible to simply ignore the incident. Firstly, she was a foreigner. Secondly, a public figure. Thirdly, there was an SOS signal and precise coordinates. An interesting point is that the distress signal was presumably not sent by Emma herself. And here is what Police Chief Jose Afonso said about it. It turned out that at the time the SOS signal on Emma's GPS device was activated, she was most likely already deceased. It is assumed that the attackers, intending to steal her belongings and sell them for profit, accidentally pressed the SOS button, trying to turn on the device, not realizing that they were directing the police straight to them. The criminals thought they could kill her with impunity, but then foolishly pressed the only button that could lead the police to them. Emma Kelty's body was never found. 7 people were sought in connection with the murder. 5 were arrested almost immediately, but there were still minor members of the gang remaining. The oldest was 20 and most were 17. The gang leaders, as I mentioned, managed to escape. One of them, 24-year-old Evangelson Gomez da Costa, who had shot Emma twice, was killed by a rival gang on September 20th, 2017, before the police could arrest him. And the leader of the River Rat Gang, Arthur Gomes da Silva, remained at large and was only arrested on February 8th, 2023, 5.5 years after Emma Kelty's disappearance. He was caught when he took his daughter to a children's hospital in Manaus. He was sentenced to 29 years and 11 months in prison. Emma Kelty's relatives say she constantly challenged herself, and her classmate Jewel says that even if Emma had been told she would definitely die on this trip, she would have gone anyway. Such is the sad story. What was it? Mere folly, underestimation of risks, or a quest for something new despite the dangers?